Hello, everybody. So let's go back to 1987 summer, right after I graduated from college. There was a girl I was very fond of. She kind of liked me, wasn't so sure, and she was doing a summer internship in New York City. So I wanted to go visit her, and she reluctantly said I could come visit. She said she was having a dinner party for a bunch of her friends out there and said I could come. So I showed up, and it was a really fancy dinner party, and I didn't really bring anything. So I thought, you know, I'm going to get something. I said, how about if I go eat like some snails escargot? She's like, well, all right, whatever. She goes, there's a gourmet grocery store down the corner. Well, I wanted to make an impression on her, so I went running down to the gourmet grocery store. And I said, where are your snails escargot? And the lady's like, we don't have snails. What are you talking about? So, well, where can I get snails? She said, you got to go to the seashore. I'm like, well, where's that? She said, you know, that way, about 10 miles. I'm like, okay, goodness. So I run out the store, jump on the bus. Sitting in the back of the bus, I'm like, okay, I'm going. And the next stop, a lady gets on, she's carrying a bunch of stuff, and all of a sudden she has some words with the driver, and she starts crying. She comes back to the back of the bus, and I said, what happened? She said, the driver made fun of my baby. I said, well, that's not right. I said, you should go tell him off. I said, let me hold your baby, and you go tell him off. She handed me the baby, and I went, oh my goodness, that is one ugly baby. So she screamed. I handed the baby back, went up to the front, got off the bus. So then, figuring out how do I get to the seashore? So I see a hot air balloon parked in a field over there, tethered to the ground. No one's around, so I run over there and jump in, untether it, and float up. I start floating for a while, and I still don't see the ocean. So I let a little air out, and I see a guy on the ground, and I say, excuse me, do you know where I am? And he says, well, you know, here's your longitude, here's your latitude, and you're about 30, 35 feet off the ground. I'm like, thanks. I said, what are you, like an engineer or something? He goes, yeah. He goes, what are you, like sales? I said, yeah, why do you say that? He goes, well, you've made promises you can't keep, you don't know where you're going, and somehow it's all my fault. So I add some more hot air, and a couple minutes later I do see the seashore. I keep floating over there, and as I get close, I let all the air out, and I gotta work fast because it's getting a little dark. So I have my pail, I start looking for snails. I find one, but then it's too dark, I can't see. But I see a bonfire over there. There's a bunch of people, and they're hanging out, and I went and said, can I borrow a smoking ember to go find snails? They're like, what are you looking for snails for? I said, I'm gonna make snails escargot to impress this girl. They all got excited, they handed me a beer, they all grabbed some burning embers, and we all went snail hunting. So after a little while, my pail was full, and we went back to the campfire, and they said, well, George, you got to have a beer with us. You know, we all just went snail hunting together. I'm like, all right, I'll have a beer. So one beer turned with a lot of tall tales, turned into 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 beers. So they're getting ready to go home, and I'm like, what time is it? It's after midnight. I'm in big trouble. So I figured I better get going. So I grab my pail of snails, I start running back. I run all the way. So I finally get there. It's like maybe 1, 2 in the morning. I'm coming in. I'm walking up the stairs. I drop the bucket of snails because I'm slipping. I'm running. They go tumbling down to the ground. The pail does. There's snails all over the stairs. And I look up, and there's the girl. And she is mad. She's looking at me like, who are you, and why did I invite you? I'm like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. So I try to think of something to do, and I look down at the snails. I look back at her and I say, come on guys, we're almost there. So I look back at her, and she's mad. I look at the snails, I look back up at her, and she kind of shakes her head and grimaces a little bit and smiles. She says, get your snails and come on out. So apparently I missed the entire party, but apparently, my sense of humor saved the day because a year later, we were married. Nice.